Looking at the group, I know that all of you are already aware, except for Sangaré, for whom we need to do probably is a little translation after this every now and then. Sangaré is in Mali, speaks French. So focus is on self-assessment that at least in 3 different versions now that we know of are being used, and this is the opportunity to put our collective experience, intelligence together to come to a version, at least for the co-check, where the practices are agreed upon and can be used. So welcome everyone. I want to give the mic to you. Thank you all already for muting your microphone when not talking. That helps a lot. A quick round where everyone says where he is and the first name. For some of us are new to this. So the gentleman who's taking off his glasses, who are you and where are you?
Good morning. My name is Jan Somers and I come from Belgium, living near Antwerp, and still doing fine so far.
Yes, stay fine, stay fine. And in France, we have my friend. Yes, you, who are you?
Hello, I'm Loli. I am Loli. I come from Marseille.
Yeah. And then 2 people from Thailand, one with a beautiful rotund chair.
Hello, my name is Oak. I'm from Thailand. I'm joining in the AIHD team. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Most welcome. Most welcome. And your friend?
Huh?
Hello, everyone. My name is Nui. I live in Bangkok, from Thailand.
Welcome. Yes.
I am in AIHD team, the same team of Oak. Nice to meet you.
The ASEAN Institute for Health Development, that is.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. In Indonesia, our beautiful friend.
Hello, everybody. I'm Wiwin. I'm living in Bandung, Indonesia. Nice to meet all of you. Last meeting, I was failed to join all of you because previously I have 2 Zoom meetings, so it's something running out of the internet package, something like that. Now I'm very happy with all of you to discuss.
Very happy to have you here. Yes. And then in Singapore.
Hi, I'm Renga from Singapore. Everything's good here. We are just gearing up for more community spread, and I think people are just ramping up their precautionary measures, and happy to see everyone here.
Yeah. Welcome, Ranga. Yeah. Bonjour, Sangaré. Sangaré, je vais traduire, mais juste en résumé. Donc, avec un groupe, on parle depuis un petit moment sur comment appliquer l'approche SALT. Maintenant, dans ce moment où on doit agir en toute vitesse pour être plus vite que le virus. Et ce groupe se concentre sur l'auto-évaluation comme moyen de stimuler les actions et les conversations pour que les gens individuels et en groupe se prennent en charge pour faire face. Et donc, on a des personnes que vous avez vues qui qui ont dit leur nom. Ils sont en Belgique, France, Thaïlande, Indonésie, Singapour. Oui, c'est ça. Et vous-même, vous êtes qui pour la groupe? Sangaré. Il faut le microphone, il faut le... Oui,
je suis Alfousseni Sangaré, coach de Mali Compétences depuis un bon moment. Le coronavirus, il a tardé à rentrer au Mali, mais finalement, il est là. On est à 25 cas avec 2 décès pour le moment. Donc, l'outil d'auto-évaluation, si elle est appliquée, elle va beaucoup servir parce qu'il s'agit d'accompagner ce que font les professionnels de la santé en matière de lutte contre le coronavirus. Les seuls professionnels ne peuvent pas tout faire. Au niveau individuel, au niveau collectif, familial, on fait beaucoup. Donc, ces 2 choses doivent aller ensemble. Si on ne saisit pas cette opportunité, on risque de se préparer d'un côté et de laisser l'autre. Le virus va continuellement exister. C'est ça notre idée.
Super. So I will translate. Je vais traduire. Merci beaucoup, Sangaré. Je pense que c'était de très beaux mots. Jean-Louis, I'm going to translate, but please help me if I forget. But I think the word of Sangaré, who is in constellation coach in Mali competence, are very right. So in his country now, the virus is also arriving, 25 cases registered, 2 people passed away by the virus. And Sangaré does an appeal. He says the self-assessment is going to be very important because this response is not, we cannot leave it either to the health professionals alone or to the people alone. We have to all play our part, and our part we can play as individuals, as families, and the small communities that we belong to. Did I miss anything, Jean-Louis, for the French?
No, I just would like to say that Sangaré, his nickname in Mali is local response, because he's been talking about it so much. And today, Sangaré is in charge of the coordination of everything related to the Global Fund in Mali. So, and just before he said, yes, we have to go, I told him, translated the self-assessment framework once it is finalized in Bambara, and he said, yes, Bambara is his language. So, voilà.
Thank you. Ajahn Fitch is the last one to arrive. Most welcome. Happy to have you here. A few words for you. The microphone.
Hi. Good morning. Good afternoon. I'm not sure. What time is it? Yeah. In the morning? Yeah.
In Europe, it's morning, and in Africa as well. And there are friends from Asia who are more or less same time zone as you.
Glad to join today.
Yeah, most welcome. Most welcome. Together with your other colleagues who already presented themselves.
Right.
Yeah. And Mabel, most welcome as well from Kenya. Mabel, you have to unmute your microphone and then you can tell us that you are Mabel and that you're from Kenya.
Okay, first of all, I apologize for coming in a bit late. I had a few visitors that delayed a bit. My name is Mabel. I am from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm with the Kenya competence team. Actually on this call from a very rural place in Kasikeu, where I'm just seeing maize plantations and trees and cows and goats. But it's a pleasure to be with everyone. It's good to meet you. Yeah.
Welcome. Good that you are there. Wonderful. Yeah. And Shakti, she joined us as well. She was there last week also. Shakti, you want to say hi to the group? We're just starting and greeting. Not seeing you for the moment. And your microphone is up. Yes.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm using my phone, so I'm just getting used to it.
That's fine. Yeah, good. We saw you last week, so some of us know
Yeah.
how you look like when you
But
move.
I will try
But the
to.
picture is very nice. There you are. Good.
Hello.
Yeah, the picture is very nice.
Yeah.
But reality as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So zooming in on self-assessment. So show of hands for the moment for those who have already used a form of the self-assessment now in the context of COVID.
Jean-Louis wants to say something?
No, he's raising his hands. He's obeying to my question. Yeah. So who is already using self-assessment in one form or another? Wien, Jan, Jean-Louis.
So we use it at our place, but not two of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Wien, can you talk a bit about how you are going about with the self-assessment in Indonesia?
Okay, thank you. First of all, of course, I introduced this framework with my family members, with my husband and my kids, and understanding what is it about. Actually, most of it is not new. Comparing with all of information in Indonesia, but the only different way of self-assessment we are sharing is something very simple that we can do it directly to all of us. So information on the self-assessment itself, particularly on discrimination and stigma, is something very interesting when I discuss with my husband what does it mean in the context of our life. Because in Indonesia, sorry to say that we face a conflict of like religious issues of these health issues, and we are like blaming some group of religions activity, which is we call it as a cluster of the pandemic virus spread out. So we on that time, my husband and me try to understand that we do not think about the religious background of people, but the only thing we should do is to prevent ourselves of being infected and infect others. That's the only thing, regardless the religions, culture, or even a gender orientation. Because in the next step of the self-assessment introduction is to the local network we Indo-competent working is transgender group, which is last 3 weeks we have been involved. So that's the most interesting part of the self-assessment on my experience, how we understand this one. And when I manage a Zoom meeting, online Zoom meeting with my local network, we work with 3 groups. The first group is transgender friend in Yogyakarta. And also we discuss on family planning field staff in Indramayu, in West Java, and the rest is the facilitator of Indo-competent. The self-assessment reflect differently at the different setting. For our friend in Yogyakarta, they find discrimination is quite, something, can influence the way they accepted the services, something like that, particularly on spreading the information. But for the health services, because most of them are familiar with the HIV/AIDS health services and prevention, they have no problem with that. But the issue with the stigma and discrimination, regardless their gender identity, yes, it is evident that we face a problem with that, with hinder people, with prohibit people have different, what is it, different treatment, attitude, and behavior of the community. And for our family planning task force, the problem is that most of the group we work with is poor family. They have no access to internet. They have no access to, what is it, to social media. The only thing we reach the community is face-to-face meeting, which is we cannot do it freely now. So we are afraid of another effect of this COVID is on how we ensure the information of the self-assessment framework can be delivered to the community. But another aspect is about the unmet need of the contraceptive use. That's what we are thinking about this one. So sometimes on that times, when we discuss of the 12 practice of this one, again we discuss on the discrimination on the health services for the people of poor. Most of people have access to the internet, we have no problem to accept any information from any resource. But how could we maintain to deliver the communication only to the community? Only we have to do face-to-face meeting. That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Our experience.
Yeah, Wibin, thank you very much. Thank you. So I think what is clear from what you're saying is that the conversation is always so important, and that is helping people to make decisions and steps. Which was the practice that stimulated the conversation on stigma and discrimination? What was the description of that practice?
On that time, we try to read one by one the practices, and when we come to the practice, it is 9, right? The 9, something with stigma and discrimination. I'm asking them a specific question. What do you think on this practice? Do you have a problem with this practice? So we discuss all of things together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Jan, you are making a comment. Maybe you want to make it in spoken.
Yes, I was just replying to the idea that we. Can I just, somebody's ringing on my. I'll come back in 30 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no problems. Maybe the friends from AIHD, in a few minutes, an update on what is happening in Thailand with the self-assessment.
Hello. I think we do not have more information about the testing of self-assessment, but we try to gathering the information from our groups from South workshop. Maybe next week we are going to talk with them what is going on. Maybe next Tuesday, right? Next Tuesday. And now we translate the self-assessments, our version to, like Nơi and Oak translated into English, right? Already. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Just for information of Wibin and Mabel, who were not here last time, the Asian Institute for Health Development in Bangkok have put self-assessment framework on COVID in Google Forms and are spreading that online to students, people from the university through their networks, and they are receiving responses. That is what they shared last week. Yeah.
We did it two ways. First, we did it in groups discussion with in our institute with 35 participants.
Yeah.
We have a graph on that, and we have another channel. We create it in one survey form. I'm not sure we can aggregate that data or not. We may have to pay for it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Mabel raising hands.
Yeah, I just wanted to check, is it available for somewhere? Because tomorrow we have, like the Kenya team, we have a Skype tomorrow, and I would like to talk about it. Then we see how we can,
Mabel, we are going. So the purpose of today is to look at the various self-assessments that are available at the moment. The CoCheck, definitely the Thai version, which is more or less similar, but has some differences from the CoCheck. And another one that was developed years ago by people in the constellation in the context of swine flu. We then had a partnership with Red Cross, and that group developed a self-assessment for pandemic preparedness. And the purpose of today is to look at the three existing frameworks with the CoCheck as a reference, and then all together look at what are the practices that we would propose to keep, to rephrase, to add, given the current experience of this group. So yes, the aim is that something is available, and great that you can use it in Kenya as well. I think, Jean-Louis, given the time, over to you and to talk a bit further about CoCheck.
I have a question, one question.
There we are. Vich, you want to say something?
In our checklist, we recommend to wear masks. Whether you get sick or you are going into the public with crowded people, crowded population. So is this recommended by CDC or the WHO in Europe or not?
Thanks, Vich. I think this year the pressure for this is mounting, I would say, in the West. In the headline on our newspaper today is about that. So we will discuss it in a moment. If you don't mind, this is exactly what we will discuss. Okay. So taking it from last week, in the last week Zoom was quite clear, I think, in terms of orientation. Say, because of the limitations of confinement and all sorts of limitations to meet face-to-face, we have to offer a guide for a conversation and for reflection, and we can do it through the internet, reaching people so that reaching people through their smartphone, their computers, so that they can do it with family or with some group online. That was important. I think we also heard Onesmus saying very, very loudly and very clearly, this needs to be, for the extent possible, to be a guide for conversation, stressed. And so on that basis, we continued to work on something that we then dubbed or called CoCheck. It is actually, I have to give tribute, and I'm proud of that, my son and Shakti, his companion, who have developed this over the last few days. And everything is ready for any country in any language to translate the self-assessment and to move. So you would just need to send the version, the translation to Pierre, and he will do another version of CodeCheck in your language, be it Swahili or Bahasa or Bambara or Lingala, whatever language you feel is useful. And there you can also translate with the sensitivity required for translation of that practice in your language. In other words, maybe the English sounds a bit, you can change that, but you keep the practice as you think it should be. So this is the proposal. Now, I thank everyone to be there today, because tomorrow we would propose to get the launch officially done. That is, we really want that, because in Belgium, it's a matter of time everywhere in the world. So we cannot improve and improve and improve, and we don't go out. And congratulations to the Thais who just went ahead and moved. This is very good. This is fantastic, because time is of the essence. So this is, if you want, last call to look at the self-assessment and then say, okay, we go with that, and we can translate that, we live with that for, I don't know, at least a month or so, without too many changes. Because if every time we change, then we have difficulties. It needs to be translated in all languages, etc. So this is why we are proposing today to focus on the self-assessment framework. And just as to make sure everyone is on the same page, and please, as I go, please use the conversation box, which is at the bottom. You have a box there, conversation, and if you can there put your observations, while I'll do my own self-check. I've done it before, and I'll share my experience. Marlou, is that okay? So I will now share my screen, and we'll go over it together. Where is it? This thing, it is in the way. I can't get to the.
Jean-Louis, can I suggest that you don't share your screen, but share just the document, because now we can see everything, your email and your WhatsApp and your telephone numbers.
Yeah,
so you can actually share.
No, but I'm trying to get at my issue is, okay, I know what I need to do. Sorry.
Yes,
Thanks
okay.
for the idea. Here it is. I know the sequence was wrong. And I got the support from Ranga. Thank you, Ranga. Now I can share the screen because it's ready. I suppose that is what Ranga proposed.
Actually, just a quick Zoom tutorial. You can share screen or you can share desktop.
No,
so
there
you
I
have
am.
the document open here. So.
There we are.
Yes.
So here, so here is CodeCheck. Now, look at that first sentence. We all have our part to play against the virus, and it changed by changing our habits. Do your CodeCheck and see how well you score. Any comment on that? I will say one comment already. That is, have what needs to be conveyed there. Take the time to reflect and discuss with someone, or discuss with your family, something like that. At least so that have a conversation about it. So that it is not just a simple checklist. Tack, 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 here's my score, now I do something else. It needs to be the guide for a conversation. And this intro we should improve on. Maybe anyone wants to comment that or stress that, please put something in the conversation box, in the chat box, so that we can then see if you agree with that. Then you have, in which country are you? I will put my country, this is Belgium. And then we have, what is your zip code? And I have to put my zip code. Why? If I have a zip code. This is not a required one. Now, let me address here something here. The code check is anonymous. There is no place where the survey asks for your name, nor does it ask for your email address. So it is anonymous. However, there is a technical question and we don't know what to do. We will check that later, but it is possible. For now, it is not activated to have your IP address. In other words, people could come back to their own self-assessment. But that, of course, for people who have malignant intentions, then you can, through research, you can get at the name of the person. This is why at this stage, we did not have that. So it is fully anonymous, but people cannot go back to their former self-assessment to see if they made progress. Therefore, at the end, we should write, please write down your results so that you can compare. And that is not ready. Any comment on that introduction? So change the initial part to stimulate reflection and conversation. And the second thing is state that this code check is anonymous. Marlou, do you see any reaction that I should take care of? No, okay. So then, is this the first time you complete your code check? Probably it is the second time at least. So there I am. This is it probably, I do my code check every morning is close to the reality, but it is because okay, okay. Then the next one, I wash my hands before each meal, after I go out, and after toilet. This is very, some people don't like it because it is too practical. But this is exactly where we need to be. We need to be practical because this is what people depend on. This is what Sangaré said at the beginning. No government can force people to wash hands at home. We have to own that, understand, and do it. And we can do it through, okay, through our reflection, etc. So I still will put myself at 4. Why? Because coming back home, this is not natural to me. I still have to work at it. I only touch my face to wash it. There, this is badly stated, and I will take responsibility for it. I wrote that, and this is not exactly right. I only touch my face after I wash my hands, or something like that. This is then the suggestions we can go over later. And this one, I mean, I have to hesitate between 2 and 3. And I have to ask my wife to tell me, look, you are touching your face again. I'm doing it all the time. And Shakti made me observe that last time while Vich was talking, I was like this, touching my face and more. So yes, this is something I have to work on. I regularly clean, well, once in a while. It's been several days since I've washed my smartphone. So I do it, but once in a while. I'm not systematic. This one, of course, I've been in very good company with Ajahn Vich, etc. And so that one, for the time being, I do it systematically. But once they release the confinement, the lockdown, what are we? Am I going to hug everyone again like I used to do? Am I going to kiss? I don't know. This needs a social discussion. And I thank Jan Somers, who showed me that I still had a photo on Facebook, nose to nose, with my granddaughter. This has changed now. I greet Ajahn Vich on a distance, very big distance there. And now he's showing. So are we going to do that in the future? I don't know. The idea is that this practice enables a discussion, not only about now, but also once the lockdown is over, the brunt of the epidemic is over, but COVID will still be around. I keep a distance with others of 1.5 meters. Well, I would say, yes, I do it, but it's the same thing. Once it is finished, we have seen, for instance, pictures of Wuhan, where they can fly again, and you see that at the airport, people are still packed against each other. So yes, distancing, but at the airport in Bangkok, when I left, people were crammed against each other, to touch even each other, because they want to get in the plane. I saw pictures in Cebu of people fighting to get in a plane. These are occasions, these occasions will not, to transmit the virus will not be over. The virus will still be around after the peak. So what do we do? And that is, I think, I see Ranga there. And, you know, this is the situation, let's say, for Singapore. Singapore is doing a fantastic job. We can benchmark country responses vis-a-vis Singapore, but hey, what are they going to do with all those people who don't use the same measures, who are not compliant with the instructions? So this is a big thing. I cough and sneeze in the fold of my arm. I have to be honest, friends, once in a while. I still have to work at it. You have seen I've been coughing, I did like this because this is my natural way. So I have to work at it. So this is the one that can trigger a discussion on discrimination. I care for everyone. And this, I think, I can give me a better score. I'll put that one just to please. I think from the AIDS and all that, I have learned that this was so key, and I think I can give, okay. Now, here's another one that requires some phrasing. I avoid intergenerational encounters. In my family, we have zero encounter with our grandchildren and our children. But of course, this cannot be done everywhere. I'm thinking of families in very small flats in Siranga, in Singapore. I see also that one day I will not avoid the intergenerational encounters. I want to see my grandchildren. So that one, we need to coin that in a different way. And so this is the next step in our today's conversation. How can we improve the formulation of what's there so that it is more universally applicable and also applicable once the lockdown is over? I act out of care, or I avoid encounters. Yes, I do it systematically, but naturally, no. It is very hard. I act out of care, not out of fear. This is an interesting one because it creates conversation. For instance, Marie, my daughter, who is in charge of the newsletter, said in her family, this had a whole discussion, led to a whole discussion about the role of fear in our behavior. Is fear good? Can we act out of fear? All that. So I would say I would keep it that way, but you are most welcome to discuss it. I think I would put myself at a 4 in the sense that I can see when fear comes in and then I can deal with it. Is it natural? That would be too much. I still am unaware of some of my fears and therefore I cannot act on them. So I would say 1. And it's quite interesting because it's important, but how do I do this? I think people who are honest can say many of people have never thought of it. I was fortunate to think about this with a friend, Nathalie Legros, that is some 6 years ago. That's why I realized the role of fear in my life. So, and then I see the opportunity to check on the quality of my life is something that we have put there to make sure that people can reflect, okay, what shall we change here? So it is one line, but it is one line that can open to many, many discussions if we want to. So, but I have not done it totally, so I put myself to a 3. I continue to think about it, but to say I've taken all the lessons, that is not true. So what is the next thing here? Okay. What actions are you considering? Of course, there are more, but for the sake of today, I will just put that one. This one leads to something. That is that, in general, of course, some people who are very self-aware can decide by themselves. But in general, we need someone's help. And that goes back to an issue I'd like that we take on maybe next time. That is how to facilitate this online for groups. Because then groups can help each other and take measures that support the whole group. But today we are only at that self-assessment framework. So now, here there are several suggestions. One suggestion is there any additional practice you want to reflect on? And so totally open field. Right? And what will you do about it? So there we can also monitor new practices that are coming up. Okay, that is one. But so people can decide on a practice and apply. That is one. And the second thing is the University of Brussels, the School of Public Health has looked at it, and they are very, very, very supportive. So they are waiting for this to come out. So we cannot wait until later than tomorrow for this. And the dean of the faculty of public health said, I was surprised not to have a feedback box. So we put that, a feedback box. What did you think of this, your code check? How can we improve? So 3 boxes here instead of 1. One is this one. 3 boxes instead of 1. So this one plus an additional practice, and the second one is what did you think of it? Now I've done it. And here, I'll ask Pierre if he can do it right away or whether that will take time. Can you print your result? Do you want a record? Print your result. We don't keep the record. Please print your result. You see? So that also a person who says, but I want to do this with people who have no internet access can then use the framework. So there could be something like that. I need to check. This is an important point. It came from Wewin, but of course we can think about other situations where the last mile from internet needs to be bridged by printed versions that can be distributed or something like that. So now, what is my okay? I 72%. I have a friend. She is working in the EU, and she just sent her score. It was 53%. I say, well, okay. So I think the more honest we are, the better it is in terms of our done. Andy, in which country are you? And so we can see here, this of course are the results. Belgium 47 now, but this is just because we have not yet. Someone in Canada has done it. I have no clue who that might be, etc. So once this all gets going, 7 in France, okay, but I suspect Loli to have done it several times. And
yes, I confirm.
Luxembourg, Mali, you see Mali, that's our friend Sangaré. Mauritius is at 22. Maybe my family has done it 11 times, I don't know. And there are 2. But of course, Netherlands, once this hall is operational, we can have, instead of just a list, we can have a picture. The whole idea is to have a picture in the same way as we have pictures with infection, or so many cases here and there. We can have so many code checks done in the assumption that code checks is checking the virus, of course. Code check is coronavirus check, as well as check together. So this is the end of my little presentation. I would just say also that tomorrow there will be a website where people can download the material and see through pictures what the process is. That's where we are, and all your advice is very welcome. It is very much appreciated. I must say that on Friday, we expect that the city leadership, the mayor and his team will endorse this activity, and it will make a splash in Belgium. In other words, if a city says we are supporting this citizen activity, this is important. We have 17 new infections in my village. That is 13,000 people. And so let's work together so that we don't transmit here in Crédoisseau, my village. That is the idea. And if we can go granular that way, one village at a time, but fast, then we have done our little contribution. As was said before, it is not that we are going to solve that on our own, but as a constellation, we have a responsibility, I think, given the experience we have had and we still have with AIDS, Ebola, H1N1. We are trying to do our best to offer it to the world. So thank you very much, and over to you, Marlou.
Yes. Thank you for that. Great to bring us back to the self-assessment as it exists. And thank you for people who have been adding contributions in the chat box. There are 4 people operating as the constellation. So it was not only one of us being very precise. Thank you, Mabel, Luc, and Lolly. I think they have also been contributing under the name The Constellation in this chat box. So there were some immediate comments on the practices, things that might be rephrased. And one thing that is coming up several times is adding a box after each practice to state why are you at that level, what are you doing, and what practice can you improve, so that reflection and the conversation is built in while you go through the list. We will, like last week, subgroups now. We will be, just 1 second, Charlie. I've seen your hand. We will go in small groups. We will share with you a link to a folder where the co-check practices are, and where you also see the self-assessment that is used in Thailand by AIHD, and the one that was developed years ago in the context of swine flu pandemic. And so each group is invited to propose changes to the co-check practices where needed. Do we want to add something? Do we want to rephrase something? As concrete as possible, please. So rephrase it in a way that works from your experience. So I will share the link to that folder in the chat box. You will find the 3 self-assessments, and there's also there are documents where you can work as a group directly on the practices of the co-check, add your suggestions in there. So that will come. I'll give the microphone to Jean-Louis back, who was raising his hand.
Thank you, Malu. Just to say this, there is pushback on the idea of putting a box under each practice. We fear, I understand it fully, but at the same time, I fear that people would say, this is too heavy, I'm switching off. So please consider that. I'm not saying no, but please consider the pros and cons of saying at each step, I have to write there why and what I can do. This is very heavy. And we fear that people would switch off after the. That is why we did not put it in there. So please take the pros and cons in that conversation to make sure that we don't want to impose anything. I'm just expressing the concern that if it becomes too heavy, people say, no, this is too much, I switch off. And then there are very important conversations to be had on fear, on what do I do in terms of the quality of my life. They are lost because people are gone. So this is the concern we are having if we put a box under each of those questions. So maybe leaving as Jan says, if you want option or to put optional under each, that may be resolving the issue. Okay, not mandatory, says someone.
Yeah. Shall we have that conversation in the smaller groups?
Yeah. So now, what are the questions? One, the practices, can they be phrased better? That is one. The second one, if you look at these other self-assessments, do you want to change practice? This is the last call. The request would still be, if if can, let's leave it at 10. If we go to many more, just to please everyone, then we have a problem again in terms of the thing being too heavy. So how can you, well, do you want to change practices, but strive for 10? Or if there are more, which one? But okay, we need to get at a consensus on this today, at a common decision on it today, because tomorrow it's going on. So this is important. Was there another question, Marlou? Yeah. Okay. Now,
yes.
I request that how many groups should we do? We are 14, I think, this time. 3 groups?
Maybe 4.
4 groups.
Oui.
4 groups, okay. So may I request that each group does 3 slides of the on a PowerPoint to be shared for the wrap-up. So you just do your answers on a PowerPoint. And then when you come back in plenary, you share your screen with the PowerPoint. Is that okay, Marlou?
For me, it's okay.
Is that okay? Any objection? Okay. So I divide you.
For clarification now?
Any question for clarification?
No, then we go in the smaller groups.
Okay.
We have half an hour, Jean-Louis, for the smaller groups, and then we will come back in plenary.
So we come back at 30.
Yeah. So I have shared the folder in the chat. I hope everyone has access to it.
Okay. It is there already.
Yeah.
4 groups, huh? Oh, some people. Is Joao there? Oak. Okay. Let's go and enjoy your discussions and see you in 27 minutes from now. Okay. Tiens, Laurie est là aussi? Je n'ai pas vu.
each group at the moment? Where did you come to? What is the core of what you discussed? If you can do it in a presentation with share screen, that would be optimum. Let us hear where you came to. And I don't know who was in which group. So Jean-Louis, you have to.
You're on mute.
Group 1. Can we ask group 1 to share?
And who is group 1?
It's us.
Okay.
Oh, is that us?
Yes.
Okay, Laurie, you go then.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, what we suggest is that the practice 1, I wash my hands before each meal needed to be more precise, and we added with water and soap, and we add when I enter a new place, come home from a visit, because the parts regarding when I come out was not clear. Then we add this. There was also a suggestion to rephrase the third practice on I regularly clean my living and working environment, because it was too much workspace. Mobile phone was much oriented to our situation and not to the entire world. And we split the I keep a distance with other of 1.5 meter to create two practices here. And in case of people, I keep a distance of 1.5 meter with the family member who have symptoms of the coronavirus. And then we were discussing of the need of another practice. Yeah, another checklist check practice for the reaction, how to behave in a situation where one of our our family is having symptoms. What do we do? We are not clear on it. It's another question, but we just felt the need to discuss it. And if I go on, I think Marlou, maybe you can share a bit on the other practice I see in red, because we didn't discuss that, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Those were my suggestions. I've put whether healthy, suspect, or sick between brackets, so that the conversation also goes wider for the situations that we've been described. So it's not only about the flu. And then I try to rephrase the intergenerational. So I take precautions for safe intergenerational encounters. I don't know. It's a try to make it inclusive. And then I thought more direct, quality of my life, the sentence, I take care of the quality of my life, rather than seize the opportunity to check on. It's more active and invites to take care.
Personally,
that's where we were.
Personally, yeah, I don't understand this last practice. I don't understand it.
In its original version, or still not in the rephrased version?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, I take care of the quality of my life. It's, I mean, it's really, for me, yeah, on my perspective, I can understand it, but on the perspective of the community I work with, I'm not sure what it means. What I supposed to be checking. What is for those community, what they have to check on the quality. The quality of life is really different from where we are in the world.
So that conversation will be different.
Yeah.
But it's, for me at least, I understand the practice. This description invites for a conversation, but what people discuss will be different depending on the circumstance, which is good, which is fine, as what I think. But
may I come in there as you were in that group? I have to thank, I think there are several things there that are great progress. May I ask, I think it is Laurie who used her computer. Could you please upload this in the chat box so that we have the record right away?
I will do it.
Okay.
It is in the folder, Jean-Louis.
It is already there. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Suggestion group 2? Oh, sorry. Any other reflection of group 1?
Maybe Lolly wants to add. She had what think about a clearer title. Lolly, you want to explain?
A little, because I am thinking that now we are talking about COVID-19, but I was thinking that this document or self-assessment can be used in the future for another epidemic. Yeah. And I think that we need to give an attractive, if I can use this word, for the people start or decided to use this regular self-assessment. It's only like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Great. We hope that in the future, indeed, people will see the advantage of that. And okay, of course, we cannot change the title right now, but it's a good idea to think about it.
It's an idea.
No, it's a good idea. It's excellent idea. Thank you.
Welcome.
Group 2, over to you, Marlou, for the moderation.
Yes. So the group 2, whoever feels that she is or knows that she is group 2. Jan.
I think that we are group 2.
Yes.
I think.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Jan, yes, we are.
Okay. Now I am going to try here to share the screen of my PowerPoint. Okay, right. Let me see if that works. First time I do this. Can anybody see my slide? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Right, okay. So what we discussed, the various practices, but what came up sometimes, and it also refers to what group 1 sometimes came up with, is what is the focus on the assessment for now, which is the spreading of the virus. And some of the practices or some of the descriptions were more like an attitude or a way of living. Whereas at the moment, I think, or the focus is how can we introduce changing certain practical practices that is going to stop the virus from spreading, right? So that's just one comment. And then we had the different practices. I wash my hands all the time, and then between brackets, before having a meal, after going out, after every toilet visit, ... Because there is different moments that washing your hands is a good thing to do. I avoid touching my face at all times. And then I put between brackets, not to infect myself or others. Because if we are saying we can only touch our face when we wash our hands, but if I am infected with the virus, right? I have washed my hands, so I'm touching my face and I am touching the door, and somebody comes in and takes hold of the door, he can become infected, right? So that was a suggestion of Joanne, I think, was and Mabel to avoid touching face all times. Then the third one, I regularly clean my workspace, private belongings, and then between brackets, mobile phones, laptop, etc. So to not limit the things that we are supposed to clean. And I agree with what Group 1 was suggesting, also the environment I'm working in, not just the workspace.
Yeah.
So yeah, I tend to agree to clean my workspace and then we have, I keep a distance from others of 2 meters. Now, why do we suggest 2 meters? Because apparently in some countries, if you put 1,5, it is an error. So, and the Thailand version is speaking about, the assessment is speaking about 1.5 to 2 meters. So we took a 2 meter advice. And then the practice on I care for everyone, we didn't see it as a practice, but more as an attitude. So in the concept of, or in the focus of spreading the virus, what is the care for everyone going to help limiting the spread of the virus? That's why we say maybe for this one, at this time, in this focus, we might not need this practice as such. And then I act out of care and not out of fear. Mabel was quite rightly suggesting that if you limit it to fear, might be other reasons as opposed to care, like anger or revenge or whatever. So it's not just only fear, it's also other emotions that might hinder you to work out of care. So if we say, I act out of care, point final, then that's, yeah. And the last practice, we didn't discuss that because we ran out of time. So these were the votes of the group 2. Now, how can I, let me just see if I can get back on.
Yeah.
How do we get back on the screen to,
yeah, well,
to stop
thank you, Jan and team. I think, again, very useful suggestions. Okay. Maybe the one of leaving out caring for others, or what was the description, can need more conversation. I thought some people
yeah, I agree. On the one hand, you could instigate conversations. That is true, and we had this conversation in our family, in my with my wife, where the element of care versus fear was definitely an issue or a topic.
Yeah. But sorry, I meant the one that you proposed to delete.
Yeah.
Reactions there. Yeah. Jean-Louis?
Yes, on that one, we have heard.
I care for everyone, yeah.
This one may be, well, the first thing, you're right in saying there is a balance there between the immediate things and then more broader, you could say, attitude or reflection for the future, etc. That part was done on purpose, thinking that we are not going to be confined all the time. So it was done on purpose. Now, we have heard Wiwin stressing that practice as being very useful in her environment. So I would just say, let's relax and keep it, and then see after some time, you know, if we see everyone is quoting 5 on it and there is no discussion about it, then we can toss it out. But at this stage, maybe it's useful in some contexts more than others.
Yeah, and for me personally, I was happy with that practice because that goes from the I to the we, and that is what we are about.
Yeah. For example, in some countries, we can see like really violent reaction when people are symptomatic, and it, yeah, at least it open a conversation, but I'm not sure that it gives enough. I mean, it's slightly too big to be really appropriate, owned by the practitioners. This is how to phrase this in a way that I'm owning this practice.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, if we introduce the assessment with saying, we can do our part from spreading the virus and all that, that puts the focus on spreading of the virus. Whereas the caring for everybody and looking after each other and making sure that we are all well-being all together, well, that's a different focus as what is put in the front. Like yeah, that was just a reflection. But yeah. I agree if you leave it on. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, it was just comments. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. and
Thank
very
you,
and well presented. Thank you very much. So whoever identifies as group 3, please come forward.
Okay, that'll be us. So it's Ranga, Noi, and Vivin. So I'll just share our PowerPoint. So I'm afraid we didn't get very far. Can you see it? Okay. So we too had a tough time with the last one. So we felt that, just to continue from the last discussion, we felt that actually this particular one, while we say we care, I would say not for, but we care about everyone, whether healthy, suspect, or sick. And we thought that this should be made stronger. We didn't know how, but it should be made stronger about not discriminating, because I think that's what we mean by this statement, but we couldn't come up with a statement that would address that non-discrimination. So even for the first one, we felt that, I felt that, you know, the five, the selection we have at the bottom, which says I systematically do it, but not, I can't remember the phrasing of those statements. So right now, when we look at the statement, I felt that those 5, which has to be kept standard for all the questions, doesn't fit the current statement. So if possible, whether we can change it to avoid touching my face, or I touch my face only to wash it. So we make it very, very clear. It's not about, it's to, sorry, I don't know how to say it, but it's to make it the other way around. It's to make it negative rather than I touch my face only to wash it. And with the physical distancing, with the intergenerational statement that we had, is it possible to change it to, we practice physical distancing between older persons and children in our home? Because in all the countries that we came from, Thailand, Indonesia, and Singapore, we share a small space with extended family. So how can we then look at making it very clear? We have physical distancing. So I, for instance, shared that when we're having a family meal, we now have to split between, we can't all sit at the table at the same time. In some other places, we sit on the floor and eat together. We have to sit a bit further apart. So that was something that we wanted to emphasize. The next one is, I think the self-assessment doesn't have anything about masks. What did I do? Noi shared that in Thailand, for instance, now they have to wear masks when outside. You can't go into a department store or a convenience store without masks. So we were not sure how it worked in different countries. But so either we can say I wear masks when I'm outside, depending on which country you come from, or I wear masks in situations or by authority as required in my country. So right now it is changing, the rules are changing. And I added that right now for the, sorry guys, right now for the main way to mitigate this is not to go out. And that is also not in the list of self-assessment. So to add in, I do not go out unless it is essential or it is necessary. And we kind of qualify that, what is a necessity. So that's all we have. We didn't get very far with the third question.
Yeah.
And Vivin and Noi, please add in if I missed anything. Oh, Vivin is not there.
Anyone from group 3 who wants to add to it? No? I really, really like from this conversation that we get a real perspective from the situations where everyone is. That's so helpful. And practice is generic. can be.
There is a point that was raised by this last presentation. Sorry, I forgot the name of the presenter.
Ranga.
Sorry?
Renga.
Yes. Yeah, sorry if I'm spelling. I'm saying it not correctly. Yeah, so it's the point about following the instructions from your local. I mean, I think we should add something around those lines. Following the instructions by local health authorities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. As required in my country.
Yeah.
Yeah. You pronounce my name better than Jean-Louis, so it's good. Thank you.
I suggest another practice. We learn how to pronounce names.
I just feel like this practice of the mask should be like relevant for everyone, but at the same time, are we not also how to also avoid like really conflictual situation in the countries where we cannot have access to masks?
Yeah.
Because this is really the situation. It's really a problem, and it's not only a problem in Europe. It's going to be a problem in many other countries where we don't have access to masks, and it's as Jan say, the government invite us to not use them because we don't have enough for the health services.
Yeah, sorry, we discussed it in our group, and that's why we added the phrase, I wear masks in situations where it is required or by authority, as in my country, right? So in Singapore, we don't have masks as well. So though some people suggest you wear it all the time, actually there isn't. The government issues you 3 masks for the whole year.
Yeah. But as long as the practice is there, it allows for that conversation.
That's
Same
right.
as washing your hands. We assume that everyone has access to water, which is not the case.
Yeah.
But that opens the conversation of how can we do our best with the resources that we have.
Yes.
Yeah. Jean-Louis?
Yes, I would like, I think, Ranga, you're touching something important. You, if I may, and I'm sorry that I mispronounce your name, but how, can you go back to this thing about negative and natural and all that? I think you are onto something. I'd like to learn from it.
Which one are you referring to, Jean-Louis? The one about discrimination?
Yeah, you were saying at the beginning, you were saying the whole, you were referring on.
Okay, so I was.
The levels and the practice there.
That's right. So, for instance, the phrase, I only touch my face to wash it.
Yes.
And then if your option is I do it systematically, it shows that you're touching your face systematically. Not that you're avoiding touching your face systematically. That's why the phrasing of it has got to be avoid rather than I only touch my face to wash it.
You're right.
Yeah, that's what I meant by the options then have to be, have to fit that phrasing.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good. We have a group number 4, I think, and we have 2 minutes left. Group number 4, is that you, Jean-Louis?
No, I'm asking to upload or whatever, or is it in the, to make sure we have the record of that group.
Yeah, upload it in the folder, please. If you're not able, you can send it to me. I'll make sure that it gets in the folder. Also for Jan. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send it to you because
So, okay. And we have a group number 4, I think, and that's the last one, right? Who is in group number 4? No, we only had 3 groups, Jean-Louis?
I thought we had 4 groups.
We have Vitch and Luc.
Ah. Okay, they're both having their microphone muted. So if any of you wanted to come out.
I think we have the same like comments with like the previous 3 groups, and we emphasize on the rephrase of avoid encounter intergeneration encounter. That's I think Chong Rui can rephrase it better than me about how to rephrase the avoid encounter the intergeneration.
On that one, Vince, thank you. Because I popped in, I saw that there were only 2 people, so I joined that group for some conversation, and we were struggling with the formulation. But it seems that one of the group, it goes so fast, but one of the other groups had a proper formulation of that. So I suggest now that we focus on next steps. Over to you, Marlou, so that we don't lose too many people before we end.
Yeah, and also our energy, yeah? Yeah. So, wow, great work. So we can all reach out, pat on our backs for bringing this. And as I said, what I really, really like is that we are talking from reality and with the same purpose from so many places. So thank you for that. First, easy next step from the 4 groups, make sure that your contributions are in the folder. I think this afternoon, Jean-Louis wanted to work on finalizing from that input, the practices. Is there 1 or 2 volunteers available to work with him on that? And then can you now raise your hands and be in touch with Jean-Louis?
Yeah, this afternoon, I don't know, even I'm happy after a recess of 15 minutes to do it right away while those things are fresh, but I can't do it on my own, and definitely not brain dead, more or less, from work so far. So I do need, we would need a proper English writing as well as proper Dutch writing. And Dutch, Jan would very much appreciate if you were part of that group so that we do the work right in one go, French, English, and Netherlands, and Dutch. So that
yeah. And you forgot Portuguese.
Yes, Joao?
You forgot Portuguese.
Well, Joao, you're most welcome. This means on the intention is the following. We go with those 3. Those 3 are ready tomorrow morning. On that basis, you translate in your own country and you send it to the address I will put here, or you send it to me or to Marlou, or here to this address. And this is relatively familiar.
Yeah, but so we first work, a small group works on finalizing, I suspect, the English version, right? Before we go into translations.
I would suggest that we do the English but that the Dutch speaking person is there at the same time. So that we do we work on the English, we translate the French and the Dutch at most immediately thereafter.
Okay, Jan, you are available? Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm available after taking a quick coffee.
Yeah. In 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Anyone else ready, available?
I'm sorry, I can't join you. I have a meeting in 20 minutes, so I won't be able to contribute.
So we count on Jan and Jean-Louis for the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'm happy to look at it again, but not immediately later on in the afternoon. I have time.
Two steps. So we will do our best and I'm joining everyone to be so thankful about bringing back your experience. It is fantastic. We'll do our best. Of course, there will be decisions. Not everything can be done. A consideration will be, I'll check. Probably we need to go to 12 practices on the basis of what's there. Because the mask, we cannot avoid the mask there. And going out is also one that, you know, the argument is very strong, saying, wait, we have to make sure we don't go out like crazy, so those two probably will need to be introduced there. So if you agree, we will do this with Jan, send for last review to Marlo, and then we'll put it out. Now.
I just have one suggestion for the self-care question.
Yes.
It's about I take care of myself by, and then we have a box there that people can fill in. Some may fill in by eating well. Some may fill in like by meditating. You know, whatever that person defines for themselves as caring, personal self-care. So something like that. Yeah.
That is the current number 10, right?
That's right. Something like that. So we let them define. Of course, like I take Laurie's point about the communities. So for them, I found that in the communities I work with, the self-care was about interaction. It was about social interaction. And now when we have all these different guides that you can't stand with a person, not more than 2 people in the outdoor. So the interaction itself is missing. So we need, then if they list that, then it leads to more discussion about what else can happen in terms of their self-care.
Okay. Thank you, Hanga.
Yeah. Jean-Louis and Jan, there were also a list of questions in the chat when Jean-Louis was going through. And I think because of time, maybe not all came up. So a good reference to look at.
In half an hour, Jan?
Yeah, fine with me. So it's now 11:07.
11:30? 11:30, yes. We'll do it. We go over it, and then okay.
And do we use this? Do we stay on this call or do we?
You know my room. You are in my personal room, so you're most welcome to my room.
All others, in the meantime, I think we will hear the result back from the group.
Yes. Okay. Malu, can I ask if the Constellation team, we can have quite a quick discussion about an idea I had? This is the voting members group. Can we start a different conversation? Or
you mean the ones that are here now,
or
yes,
the ones who are here
in general?
The ones who are here now.
Yeah.
But if you can start a separate conversation on a different.
And
Hello, you invite to.
Yeah. But just to be sure, you mean so? Okay, I'll pick it up. Yeah.
Now next meeting, next Wednesday, same time, and I would like to follow up on something Ajahn Vich announced at the beginning. Facilitating groups, even online groups. So may I encourage all of you to try with a group. I'm so grateful you tried with your family in so many. The AIHD has done it with a group, but it was a physical group. Can we try to facilitate with our neighborhood, our street, our Boy Scouts club, our church, to have something online and to facilitate it online so that from there we can learn from practice next week about that particular point.
Yeah. One last
you mean facilitate on using the assessment?
Yeah, so code check comes out and you propose to a company, for instance, one of your customers saying, shall we do this together?
Okay, yeah. About the assessment, not just about the pandemic.
Yes, yeah. And how do we do it? How did you do it so that we can learn from how we struggle to do this through the internet, basically?
So yeah, okay.
Yeah, I see Laurie raising her hand several times for a last question, and then we round up with the group.
Yeah, it's a bit related to what Jean-Louis maybe suggested, but I'm also questioning myself. How can I, I worked with an organization, NGO now with South countries, and they are acting, but I would love to introduce that self-assessment check with them, and I'm wondering if there's people who have already done that in the organization and want to share their way of introducing it. Would help me to also propose something to my partners, or if there's like maybe just ideas that you had, or maybe like Ranga in Thailand, people in Thailand have used it. How do you introduce it? Would be really interesting for me to start talking with my partners.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So thank you. Plenty of ideas and concrete steps for next follow-up. We achieved a whole big step today. Thank you for that. See you soon again.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take good care of yourselves and of others every generation.
Yeah, right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.